Good evening, Bahamas. Coming up tonight on our news. Designer Peter Nygard found guilty of contempt.
Fire continues to blaze here at the city dump. That story is coming up tonight, straight ahead.
What happens when you mix flammable gas with lots of smoke? Officials say it's something scary. That story coming up on our news.
The Attorney General is shooting down criticisms about the Hamar. That story straight ahead.
Welcome to our news and thanks for joining us. I'm Christina McNeil. Topping news tonight, Canadian fashion designer Peter Nygard was found guilty today of contempt of court and has until March 21st to pay a $50,000 fine or spend 14 days behind bars. Nygard was accused of breaching an order prohibiting him from continued dredging until the conclusion of a judicial review. He was also ordered to remove the sand and return it to Jaws Beach by the first week of April. Save the Bays has been embroiled in a legal battle with Nygard over the expansion of his Lyford Key property. The group claims that Nygard has almost doubled the size of his property from 3.25 acres to 6.1 acres since he acquired it in 1984 by allegedly reclaiming Crown land from the sea without the necessary permits and approvals. In other news, 2 days after some residents of Jubilee Gardens were forced to evacuate, efforts continue to extinguish pockets of fire. Officials say they will not rest until this situation is under control. Giorgio Bain reports.
With this being the third day, fire is still blazing here at the city dump, massively affecting residents, especially those in the Jubilee Gardens area. But according to the Minister of Environment, work is heavily underway.
Environment Minister Kenrick Dorset says his team has been working 18-hour shifts.
What you see behind us is the last remaining ridge where there is live fire that we're trying to extinguish. You see heavy equipment continuing to dig deeper wells. We're expanding the wells because we now have bigger pumps available to us, so ensure that they don't run out of water when they start to extinguish. We're expanding the wells.
Fire Chief Walter Evans says firefighters are working around the clock to get the situation under control.
We've seen a good portion of the smoke level which was affecting the residents of Jubilee Gardens. We've seen where there has been some improvement. The visibility is much better today than it was yesterday, and that is a positive sign for us. And we will continue to work today with the resources which we have to ensure that we could further reduce the amount of smoke which has been affecting those residents in our community.
That's not enough for frustrated Jubilee Gardens residents who say they've had enough of recurring fires. Residents Sandra and Veronica Monroe were recently released from hospital following complications due to smoke inhalation from the dump fire.
I've been having an allergy ever since. I just came from the doctor. I had to have the tank on for oxygen. Yeah, and this is the worst it's been, you know. This is the worst it's been. And I don't feel there's that much concern. But I appreciate how the Defense Force and everybody's out here, you know, at our rescue. That's some help.
Yes, I can't take the smoke because I'm sick. I can't take the smoke. No, it's never been like this. Because sometimes the smoke over there, we don't hardly get affected in this area. But this time it came straight through. It's really bad.
Dwight Stubbs, who has lived in the area for 20 years, says he does not blame the government for the problems at the landfill, but the matter needs to be addressed.
I blame the Department of Environmental Health, the Police Department Fire Branch, and us homeowners. I don't blame the political bodies. This could be better if the homeowners get together and let's tackle this fire. All right? We need some pumps in the backyard, right? We need the manpower. We need to clean the back of our yards. And whenever we call the fire department, we need them to come urgently. That's about it.
If they can, move it somewhere else, you know, out of the residence of people, you know, because it's not healthy for us, it's not healthy for anybody. So I think they should just put it somewhere where it's safer.
Take it somewhere else, like where nobody lives. Carry it there.
Officials have said some residents may not be able to return to their homes for 5 to 7 days. Reporting for our news, I'm Giorgio Bain.
And as residents of Jubilee Gardens await an all-clear from authorities, businesses in the area were forced to shut down or operate with a skeleton staff due to excessive smoke. As Vonique Toot tells us, this smoky situation is a major concern for gas companies near the landfill.
The sign here at Moss Gas Company clearly says flammable gas, no smoking. However, smoke from the nearby New Providence landfill filled the property on Gladstone Road today thanks to shifting winds. Owners say it makes for a scary situation.
Well, as long as it ain't too close to the gas, we all right. But if it's in a certain distance, you can't have smoke to it. The product is very flammable.
And I mean, are there any fears that there could be dangers if the smoke gets any closer?
Yeah, it could because of the heat or the gas expands. If it get hot, then the gas, rises up and then it'll shoot off. So we got to be extra careful with that.
Since Sunday's fire at the New Providence landfill and neighboring bushes, owners of E. Charles Moss Gas Company have watched with trepidation as wind whipped smoke over their property and near gas tanks. Plumes of thick white smoke blanketed the area for the third straight day, resulting in low visibility on portions of Gladstone Road. Fuzzy Moss says he finds it frustrating.
We had to be careful of what was going on, and we had a lot of staff had to go because the smoke was affecting them, and one or two of them have asthma. But we keeping an eye on it, It's pretty close in the back. But the wind is shifting a lot, so we don't know what's going to happen, you see.
Just a few doors down at Farrington House, businesses' profits plummeted as the smoke chased away prospective customers.
But yesterday was so bad because of the smoke.
Not one customer.
Yeah, I'll say about 5 or 10. That's it.
Meanwhile, in the heart of Jubilee Gardens, this convenience store was forced to shut down for 2 days.
This is the worst it has been in 19 years that I've been down here. My boss is closed for 2 days. This is the first day since the fire, since she's been open up. And we took a tremendous hit. Everybody had to evacuate their homes, no place to stay. And I was we was waiting to see what the government was going to do. But
Latoya Brown, who lives and works in the Smoky subdivision, is one of several residents forced to evacuate. She says authorities have warned her she won't be able to return home for 5 days.
I couldn't breathe because my baby was on a ventilation, oxygen tank for an hour on Sunday at the clinic. So, and then there's a couple people lost consciousness.
As government scrambles to find a new company to manage the New Providence landfill, affected business owners are hoping this recurring issue would be addressed once and for all.
We was waiting to see what the government was going to do, but then we had some MPs came around, the Prime Minister, Leslie Miller, Dawn Sanders. They just was wondering what's the feedback.
The government was working on this before to have a recycle dump site. But now it didn't fall through, so we got to deal with that. If we could get that done, then we wouldn't have this problem at all.
Well, there's no quick fix to the ongoing fires at the New Providence landfill and surrounding areas, according to activist Heather Carey. Carey, who represents Raising Awareness About the Bahamas Landfill, or RABBLE, says the fires have been affecting area residents for years. And now, just weeks before Baha Mar's soft opening, the issue threatens to affect the entire country's bottom line.
This isn't something, sadly, that you can rush into simply because you have a hotel opening in 6 weeks and you don't want the tourists. We met with the original Baha Mar several years ago before we did our first rally to get them to support us, to apply pressure, and they would not come out publicly, as many other companies and large gated communities here would not do, because they did not want to jeopardize government connections, because they were waiting for work permits or approvals. And this is what happens when the big businesses in this country don't come together because they're worried about ultimately their bottom line.
While it appears as though politicians are scrambling to find solutions months before a general election, even closer is the upcoming soft opening of the multi-billion-dollar Baha Mar resort. But Carey says the message about the current state of the New Providence landfill is already being spread beyond the Bahamas.
On Sunday, when this was burning, there were so many commercial flights coming in and out. Those pictures are going international. Our pictures are going international. So to think you can hide this because as a hotel or a gated community, you don't want people to know what's going on is ignorant, and it's very self-serving.
After years of seeking answers, Carrie says she hopes there is light at the end of the tunnel and a start to sustainable solutions. Meanwhile, she has her own theories as to why the fire raged out of control so swiftly over the weekend.
I want to know, why were they putting waste on the ancient landfill, which has not been covered, it has not been remediated, it's adding fresh fuel to old fire. What I know is that they're overwhelmed. They've been overwhelmed since the hurricane, and Department of Environmental Health Service simply cannot manage the waste management needs in this country. So I'm hoping now, with everybody in the West being affected, with the new Baha Mar coming in and now understanding truly what we're dealing with, the pressure will be there, but a quick fix is not the answer. It is a complicated situation.
Carrie says she is pleased to hear many pledging to take action, but she believes there will be no quick fix to the vexing issue. And as efforts continue at the New Providence landfill, firefighters race to a property at the rear of A.F. Adderley High School where a trailer caught fire around 12:40 p.m. Officer in charge of the Grove Police Station, Superintendent Derek Butler, says the fire started after welders attempted to remove the legs from the trailer.
Sparks flew, and a trailer that's right in the back of us caught fire. Fire personnel were dispatched right away, and in no time the fire was extinguished.
Butler says there were no reported injuries and plans are underway to remove the remaining trailers.
These were not in use by the school at the time. About 2 years ago they were condemned. No students were in this area at the time, no injuries. Plans are on the way to have the remaining trailers moved. Some were already moved from this location.
Still to come on our news, the Attorney General defends the progress of Baha Mar, a multi-million-dollar heads of agreement signed with a cruise line, plus an update on repairs promised for homes ravaged by hurricanes. That's coming up when our news returns.